Very exciting malacha. Today I want to start with a story. Very important story. A gavaldige maisa, which is actually brought down in the Pri Chodesh in Yodei Simon Kufin base, where the question is like this. You know, in the olden days, it wasn't like nowadays, where everyone is spoiled and has their own ovens in their houses. You know, that's what's called spoiled. You have your own oven in your own house. It's an unbelievable thing. They didn't have that in those days. They didn't have it in the olden days. What they used to have a communal oven. And the only way to heat up your food for Shabbos was to go on Erev Shabbos, take your pot of whatever it was, you had one pot, put whatever you want inside it, put it in the oven, and then you would pick it up, either Erev Shabbos, or if there was an Erev on Shabbos, depending on the matzav. Well, you bring home hot food, and that was your hot food. Sometimes you insulated it, so it stayed hot, which is the Shaila of Atmana. Anyway, so there were these group of frummies that were very, very makbid on basa shenis alam min ayin. Nobody knows what that is, right? Basa shenis alam min ayin means meat that was hidden from the eye, literally. Okay? You get deliveries, all sorts of shilas, goyim in the house, all sorts of shilas that come up. So this group of frummies were very makbid on this basa shenis alam min ayin because lamaisa, it's a problem, right? You're going to leave it in the oven, then you go home, you come back and pick it up. Who's been there in between? How do you know? Maybe they switched it to something treif. So what did they do? What they did is they wrapped the pot with some kind of material, whatever it was, and they tied it with an azar shtak knot that you can't undo the knot. The only way to open the pot would be to rip it apart, right? So they figured this is the best way, because nobody's going to be able to open the pot without ripping, and once they rip it, they can't put it back together again. So they will know immediately if somebody's opened that pot and switched their kosher food with treif food. Is everybody with me? Pretty simple. That's what they did. Says the Pri Chodesh, oy vavoy. These people are making a big mistake. What's their mistake? Yes, they're being machmeh, which is beautiful, on bashas and zalman ayin, but they're being making on an issa da'oraisa chiyuv chatos chayiv skilon chil Shabbos. What's the issa? Tearing, beautiful. San al Chaim, geweldig. Tearing, unbelievable. One of the lamates malachas. I don't believe I've spoken about this, by the way. I don't even know if I spoke about this ever in Shea. At least not in this yeshiva for sure. I don't remember speaking about this for a long time. It's an incredible topic which covers so many different shilas that are on a geya on a weekly basis. Let me just give you a few of them. Today we've got a little bit of introduction just to understand the malacha. Tomorrow we'll go to the practical side of things. So, the most practical example would be what? Toilet paper. Toilet paper is a classic. What about a roll of plastic tablecloth? Another example, right? Or for example, an envelope. Or example, if you've got your a dry cleaner's tag stuck onto your jacket or whatever, or you have a pair of socks that comes with a little plastic thing, to rip that. All these Mishpacha magazine or all these Kol Olam Kule, whatever it is, comes with a plastic wrap around it, ripping that. What about, for example, a packet of plastic cups or plastic forks that I want to open up in order to get in there? All of these shilas are shilas of the malacha of Koreya. Koreya is the malacha on Shabbos of ripping. Now the Gemara in Shabbos, Ayin, Dalad and Beis, asks the kasha. And we'll start with the Gemara, Rabbi Isai, because we always try to start with the Gemara to understand a little bit, where does this come from? Let's go a little bit of the lomdus. I know it's early in the morning, but let's go a little bit of the lomdus of understanding this malacha. Then we'll move on, Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow to the practical side of this, and it's very, very negeya. It's an important halacha, and it's very, very negeya. The Gemara asks the question, Koreya b'mishkan heicha havi. It's a great question. Every malacha of the lamatas malachas was done in the Mishkan, right? Every malacha, that's where we learn it from. We learn the malachas, the 39 malachas, from the Mishkan. Whatever was done in the Mishkan is considered to be a malacha. Whether it was binyan Mishkan, whether it was the avodas in the Mishkan, Malchaikas Rashi and Rabbi going, we're not going down there. But everyone understands that we learn everything from the Mishkan. So Rabbi said, the Gemara asks the kasha, where did they rip in the Mishkan? Anybody? The Gemara's kasha. Where did they rip in the Mishkan? Where was ripping done in the Mishkan that we learned it's a malacha? No? Anybody? Shlomo? Any idea? No. You had the same question as the Gemara probably, right? Oh, Hashem. Well, Toivi? No? Not yet. You with the Gemara? Okay, you with the Gemara. Beautiful. Don't you have the answer? Not yet. Okay. So the Gemara says, Rabba v'Reb Zera say like this. Listen to this. If you had a piece of material that got a hole from an insect, the only way to sort of stitch it up would be to rip it, make the rip a bit bigger. This way you got more of a stitching area, I guess. I'm not a Baki in stitching, but I'm assuming that's what it was. And this way you could stitch up the whole thing. You can't just stitch up a hole, because an insect tore a hole in it. But if you rip it, you're able to sort of put it back together in a way that would work. So there is the Makar Rabbi say. It's so interesting, by the way. It's almost like Moichik. There's a similarity. Because this is like a malacha in the Mishkan, which wasn't really done for the Mishkan. It was done in case something happened. Like if an insect got in and made a hole, so I need to fix it up. It's interesting, but that's the Maisa what the Gemara tells us. And the Gemara in Shabbos Kufay Aleph tells us Koreya Amanas Litva based Tfius. Right, there's a certain amount that we're going to get to Be'ezah Hashem. Now, the Malacha of Koreya, again, like I said, it's very important to understand the Malacha before we get to the practicalities and understanding how it's negaya to toilet paper and plastic roll of toilet roll, aluminum foil, or if you're from England, aluminium, whatever. All these sorts of things that could be negaya. The Malach of Koreya is opposite to Toifa. What does Toifa mean? We've discussed Toifa here before, if you remember. Toifa means to connect things together. Whether it's like the Rambam that you put glue or sellotape or a sticker, stick two things together, or whether you sew or something similar to that. Connection of two things. Koreya is taking that apart. Okay? It's very important to remember that because we're going to get into a shaila in a moment to see how that could be negaya. Now, this is a very important inyan, and we have to know this. The question is that this, from the Gemara, what do we see is an Isser of Koreya? Where's the Shaila of Koreya in the Gemara? It's only a Shaila of Koreya if it's Almanas Litvar, meaning Koreya is only a problem on Shabbos if it is going to be sewn, like what was done in the Mishkan, right? In the Mishkan, you ripped in order to sew. So from the Gemara it comes out that the only Issa of Koreya is if it is in order to sew. If it's not in order to sew, it's not a problem. Now that's, by the way, most of our shaylas. How many people in this room rip toilet paper when they're in the bathroom in order to sew it back together? I doubt it. How many people take a roll of toilet of new plastic tablecloth? There's big rolls, put it on the table, and you want to take scissors or your hands or a knife and rip it open in order to re-sew it? I don't think so. How many people open up a Mishpacha magazine with the plastic, rip it open in order to re-sew it? How many people do that with the plastic cups? All of these things. So it's not a gear. The whole thing's not a gear to us. Because Koreya in the Mishkan was only when, if it's Amanas Litva. If it's Amanas Litva, it's okay. So here we have, what's that? No. Came along the Rishonim, and the Rishonim say that it's a machlokes Rishonim whether or not if you need Amanas Litva to be chayiv, or what's the other tzad? What else would make you chayiv? What other thing would make you chayiv for ripping if it's not Amanas to sew?
Some usage.
Says Daniel, there's some usage. Meaning, Amanas to tacking. Which means if the ripping has a constructive purpose, then it's also included in that. And that's a deraisa. Not a drabanan, Morty. Not a drabanan, that's a deraisa. Not Pshat Chazal coming along and saying a drabanan. It's a deraisa. Why? Because the whole yisoid of Koreya is what? The Stipler writes this in Kilis Yaakov. Beautiful shtickle. The Stipler says that this is the Lomdus. Rabbi said we're going today into the Lomdus of the Malacha. What is Koreya? It's a destructive item. It's a destructive act. It's an act of destruction. You rip something, you've ruined it. That's a kilkul. A kilkul is not chayiv on Shabbos. You never chayiv for a kilkul. Maybe drabanan, but not deraisa for sure not. So it's a kilkul. When you rip toilet paper, when you rip aluminium foil, when you rip plastic tablecloth, that's a kilkul. You've ruined it. Says Daniel, hold on a minute. If it's Amanas to tack it, if you're doing it for a constructive purpose, that's the same as Amanas Litva. It's the same as doing it in order to sew because there is a purpose. So when you cut the toilet paper, is there a purpose to that which you have cut? Yes. If you cut the roll of plastic tablecloth, is there a purpose to that which you have cut? Yes. So that is subject to a machlokes rishonim over here. Rashi in Shabbos Ayin Hey is mashma that it needs to be Amanas Litva. If it's not Amanas Litva, you are not chayiv. You are not chayiv whatsoever. In other words, Rashi learns the whole Yesod of Koreya is a hachana, a preparation for sewing. If you're not sewing, no problem. Okay? The Rambam, in Hilchos Shabbos Perek Yud, the Rambam, Halacha Yud Aleph, is cholik on this Rashi, and he goes, no, what are you talking about? He says, as long as you don't have a kavanah for kilkul, you're automatically chayiv mishum Koreya. Why? Tikkun. Says the Rambam, as long as there is a tikkun, you are going to be chayiv. And that is the ma'aseh, the das of most gedolei rishonim, gedolei achronim. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, we can ask Stephen Shulchan Aruch from Shin Yud Zayin to Shin Mem. We can see the Nishmas Adam that wants to answer the stira. We could talk about Reb Moshe that's cholik on the Nishmas Adam's teretz. We're not going down there right now. It's a little bit too early in the morning to go through the entire shtickle Torah, which we could do. Right, but somebody's writing this out right now, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to go through the whole shtickle. Okay, we'll see it on this week's newsletter. Okay, so remember we had a shayla, we had a ma'aser shayla in the beginning, right? We have to go through that. Halacha ma'aser. Let's go straight to halacha ma'aser. Shlomo, are you with me? Very important today. Very important. Okay, life-changing halacha. Halacha ma'aser. Any tearing or ripping. Okay, we'll go to practical examples, but Israel tomorrow. That is done for a constructive purpose, even if it's not amanas litva, you will not be resewing it, is chayiv mid da'oraisa. It's an issa da'oraisa. We're not dealing with a durabanan. I might build a raft. No, I'm dealing with an issa da'oraisa over here. A issa da'oraisa, that means if you see a fellow do this, what do we do to the guy? Everybody gathers together on the roof. It's about 2 floors up. Yeah, I think so. 2 floors up. Everybody gathers together. We'll make like a reception over there. We'll have some smoked meat. It'll be very gishmak actually. And we will throw him off the side of the porch, and then we will clap. Because he's chayiv skila. He deserves to die for ripping something on Shabbos Kodesh. Okay, so before you rip the Shabbos, just make sure you have in mind that could be the illustration of your end. Okay, let's move on. So, Lemaisa, a person is chayiv for any ripping on Shabbos that is a tikkun, and that's the psak of the Bishtabura, and that is the psak of most gedolei person. By the way, Reb Kiva Eiger brings a beautiful raya. A beautiful raya Reb Kiva Eiger brings over here. And he brings you a gewaldige raya. The Gemara says that if a person rips clothing on a mace, meaning somebody, Rahmana litzlan, died, and they're so upset that they rip their clothing, you're going to be chayiv. Why are you chayiv? You're planning on resewing it? No. But there's a tikkun. The tikkun is that it does something. Right? That's why we rip for a mace, says Reb Kiva Eiger, that's a raya that as long as there's a constructive purpose for the ripping, that's going to be chayiv. So we're dealing with the shayla Rabbi Sava Doraisa. Plastic tablecloth. People do this. People don't plastic tablecloth. Say no, so I'll rip it with my hand, not with a knife. We're talking about shayla Doraisa. Toilet paper, aluminum foil, envelopes. There's a lot to discuss. However, and this is very important, if the ripping is being done in a kilgul geoifen, that means in a completely destructive way, I'm destroying something. There is no constructive purpose. There's no tikkun. There's nothing good that comes out of it. I'm potter. Potter means avalosa. It's a drabanan. That will be a drabanan. Why? Because every malach on Shabbos that's not a tikkun, it's automatically a drabanan. It's potter avalasa. We learned this in Daf Yomi in Masechta Shabbos, that anything is potter avalasa. Meaning potter, you don't have to go, you're not be a potter from a korban, but the mice is also to do it in that case. And that could be negeh. Now, by the way, just I have an interesting question. What's the difference between Koreya and Machatich? I mean, I'm assuming the Olam know the Lamatas Malachas Bahar. So there's one called Machatich, and there's one called Koreya. What's the difference? I mean, maybe we should go the other way around. Maybe we should discuss what is Machatich. He's laughing. He's like, come on. I'm from Brooklyn. I know these things. So Machatich is precise cutting. For example, when you open up a can, it's a shaila of Machatich. When you open up a bottle cap, it's a shaila of Machatich. That's a shaila. I'll go into it. Shaila. By the way, this whole halacha, by the way, discussed today, which we are not going into, is all opening packages, opening chips, opening bizli, opening cans. Everything comes from this halacha, by the way. I mean, there's a couple of other shaylas as well, but this is one of the main ones, is Koreya. I remember somebody came over to me once on a Shabbos afternoon, or maybe it was a Friday night, I don't remember exactly what it was, that he got a presentation before Shabbos. You know, sometimes you get these nice, fancy, wrapped up presentation, and there were like plastic cups of chocolate mousse. stuck down to the, to the tray, whatever, and someone gave it to him for Shabbos. It was very, very nice. The question is he allowed to pick it up and remove it from, it's not just hanging there, it's stuck there with sellotape or glue or something that they stick it on, you know what I'm talking about, right? Are you allowed to take that up on Shabbos? We're dealing with Shaila Doraisa over here. We're not dealing with Rabbanon, we're dealing with an Issa Doraisa. Worse than putting off a light, no Shaila. Poshet. That's Poshet. Okay? So the difference between Mechatek and Koreya is that Mechatek is precise cutting. Koreya can even be not precise. And they have to know that. It's even if it's not precise, it's Koreya as long as there's a constructive purpose. That is a very important thing. Now, before we finish for today, let me just mention one last thing. And then tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, we'll go through some practical examples. Very, very important. If you came today, make sure you come tomorrow. Because Chaval, I told you this already, I asked once from B'Sil Lobach. I have guys that come to share sometimes. And they come to the beginning of the share and they hear how bad it is and it's terrible. And then they walk out. And at the end of the share, I'm going through all the colours. That's how it is, right? Someone said to me, everything's always mutter in the end. You just have to wait till the end of the share and figure out, okay, over here it's mutter, over here it's okay. The beginning is like, oy vavoy, vavoy, but the Maisa then. So I asked him, I said, Rebbe, what do I do? Guy comes one day, doesn't come another day. Not over here, Chas v'shalom. It was a different yeshiva. But, sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. So that's not your problem. That's not your problem. They might be a Pesheya, and they might have to get in v'cheshbon after 120 years. Had they had the halacha share, they didn't attend, and because of that, they couldn't be Bekim Hilchah Shabbos. But that's a you problem. It's a them problem, whatever you want to call it, right? Okay, it's a them problem. So anyway, so make sure you come tomorrow to get all the shilas. So, okay, what is Koreya Nagaya to? Which materials does it apply to? Let's start number one, food. Does it apply to fruit? Can I take a sour stick and cut it in half? Ooh, never thought about this one. Can? Because everybody does, right? No, that's not the reason? As long as that's not the reason, then I'm okay with you.
No, I know.
Everybody does. Must be it's okay. You know those people? Well, everyone does it. Come on. Or another one I have heard. I don't see a reason why not. You've learned Shulchan Aruch and you still don't see a reason why not. I don't think so. Right? I don't see a reason why not. I love it. Unbelievable. Yidden. Go out the Klal Yisrael. What? What's the ticker now? I had two kids who were fighting over the red one. And only got one red one left. Right? Right? What's that? It's a destructive purpose. It's a very constructive purpose. I'm saving arguments. I'm making shalom bias between two siblings. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that what they say about siblings? The definition of siblings are children that come from the same parents until children that come from the or something they get together or they have connection to each other until they get together. And then all of a sudden, you know what I'm talking about? No, Rabbi Isa, what do you say? You're allowed to rip food or not?
Yes.
Fruit leather. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you do. Fruit leather. No one knows what I'm talking about? I know what I'm talking about. Ask Rabbi Rothstein, he'll know what fruit leather is. Okay? No, you're allowed to do that. So the halacha is like this. Food is not subject to Koreya. Why not? Number one, it's not a tzuras hamalacha. Wasn't what was done in the Mishkan. Number two, it's vaday eina amanas litva. You're not going to resew it. And number three, it's eina miskayim. It doesn't hold, doesn't keep. It's got no kiyum. And therefore, because of that, there's no problem in taking a piece of chicken and ripping it to pieces. Taking a piece of bread and ripping it to pieces. Taking some candy. There's no problem. There's no problem with Koreya when it comes to food. What about guf echad? Subject to a major shaila this. Something that's specifically one piece. For example, a piece of leather. A piece of leather, is it subject to Koreya? What's the shaila? What did we say, if you remember the beginning? The tsura of the malacha of Koreya is opposite to toifa. What's toifa? Connecting two things. So for Koreya, is disconnecting those two things. But if leather is always one piece. Is there Koreya by one piece? The Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Heilige Baal HaTanya, brings this down, and he talks about their pieces of wood and stuff like that. I got this major riot from the Gemara over here, but we're not going into it. And he says only things that are connected together, that are woven, or maybe even paper, that are strands. So generally that would be subject to Koreya. But something that's mamash guf echad, he uses the example of paper, is not subject to Koreya. And the Chalkis Yaakov paskins that the way, the Shulchan Reb Chaim Nova, Chacham Tzvi, and others. The Chai Odom brings down the Shulchan Aruch Harav and asks a kasha from the Yerushalmi, because he says that from Yerushalmi, he says that there is Koreya Ba'or, that we're not going into this moment of time. The most posting Machodik on the Shulchan Aruch Harav because of the Yerushalmi, and that is the Be'alacha, the Mishnah Berurah, Reb Moshe, and other Gedolei poskim, including the Pim Godim, that they're cholik, that even one thing is included in that. Agav the Itaina that the Shulchan Aruch Harav will be masking by our paper, because our paper is not one guf. What is our paper? It's a combination of many, many things put together, stuck together. And therefore, even the Shulchan Aruch will be masking that our paper is subject to Koreya, but guf echad is subject to machlokes. Most poskim are exactly machmeh. Just to finish off, hard items. Something that is hard, is that subject to Koreya? Do we, like for example, a piece of glass, a piece of wood, is that subject to Koreya? Or do we say ripping means a soft item like a cloth that you rip? That is the shaila. The Minchas Chinuch writes clearly that there's only Koreya by something that is soft, not something hard, as is mashma in the Yerushalmi. So according to that, it could be other malachas involved in ripping or tearing or breaking hard things, but lagabe Koreya, there probably wouldn't be. So for example, opening up a can or opening up a bottle cap will not be a shayla of Koreya. Maybe other shaylas, bachateich, makabapatish, asiyas kli, but Koreya not, because it's a hard item, and therefore there is no problem. And in Mitzvah Shem tomorrow, I want to start the sugya of a string, a plastic string or something like that. Is that considered to be a shayla of Koreya? Have a wonderful, beautiful day.